'Cause The View is live. Met Gala Glam. The A-list brought the camp and vamp to fashion's biggest annual Battle of the Ball Gowns. And the co-host picked the looks they couldn't take their eyes off of. Plus, Hot Topics are getting a jolt of Morning Joe when Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski hit the table. Plus, Grammy and Oscar winner Common reveals how Michelle Obama became his relationship guru and what she said he's doing wrong in his love life. Let's fire up Hot Topics with Whoopi, Abby Huntsman, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Megan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
Let's start with this. It is National Nurses Appreciation Week, and I am honored to welcome the nurses who truly did save my life when I was sick. Will you guys please stand up, please? Yeah. You know, they took care of me. They didn't let me scare myself. Yeah. They really kept me laughing. I kept them laughing. We kept them fed because you guys kept bringing stuff from The View, and so we would do stuff with the nurses. They were
I have
really
a feeling
great.
You made them laugh a few times too, Whoopi.
It took a little while, though. It took a little while for me to, you know, because, again, pneumonia, you don't want to fool with it.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's light and airy. It is not. It is something that will kill you.
And because you're such a big star, you had to have double pneumonia.
Well, and don't forget the sepsis. You know, yeah, I never do anything small. I'm kind of like, you know, it's crazy. But thank you guys, and welcome to The
Thank you
View.
for helping her.
So one of the biggest nights of fashion in New York hit New York yesterday at the Met Gala. This year's theme was based on Susan Sontag's essay, Notes on Camp. She defines camp as the love of the unnatural, of artifice and exaggeration. So what does camp mean to you guys?
I never went to camp. I never went to camp.
You at least knew what it meant. This morning in the meeting, I had no idea what camp was.
I wasn't sure. I always thought it meant share. That meant camp.
It's kind of campy.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain it to Paloma yesterday because we were watching it. And for me, it's just like exuberance and exaggeration. It's like everything that you are, but bigger, and very irreverent. You know, and I think of Cher, I think of Rocky Horror Picture Show, I think, right? I think of...
John Ritter.
John Ritter.
Very campy.
Yeah, but last night it was...
John Waters movie.
Yes.
I think of drag queens, too, and like drag culture.
Yeah, drag culture.
Yeah.
None of us went to this Met Ball. How come?
You got to get invited by Anna Wintour.
You know, it's also a lot of work.
It is.
Oh my
a lot
God!
of work
Lady Gaga had so many outfits. It takes me a half hour to just get out of my brassiere.
Now,
I know. This one's changing her outfits 5
This
times.
woman was camp last
She's
night.
camp.
If you wanted to find the word, she had 4 outfits.
Yeah, she looked beautiful.
Yeah.
She's also one of the co-chairs, as is Harry Styles.
Yeah.
So they helped define the theme, and they're also one of the first to show up. So she came pretty early in the night. Imagine having to follow Lady Gaga.
It was a
worked on dress for like 8 months.
15-minute performance.
You know
It's like
who looks
performance
gorgeous?
art.
I must say, Kim Kardashian. Do we have her picture? Because that dress was so tight you could see her fallopian tubes. She really looks beautiful. Look at her.
Yeah.
She must be wearing a corset.
Nothing is.
Yeah, she said she was wearing a corset.
She was?
Yes.
Spanx?
A corset. She was wearing a corset.
So the designer that made hers was, and correct me if I'm saying it wrong, but Terry Mugler. Who came back from retirement to make her dress. And he wanted, because she's a California girl, wanted it to look like she's coming out of the ocean. So she was very wet looking.
Celine?
No, that
was Celine.
That was Kim
What's
K.
on Celine's? It's like my
Celine
hat
was
will
my
go
favorite.
on, you know.
Celine wore an Oscar de la Renta dress, and it said it took over 3,000 hours to create by 52 master embroiderers. Wade, in at over 22 pounds.
Wow.
I love her, though, and I think Megan loves her even more than I do,
Love
if that's
her.
possible.
Yeah.
But we didn't see much of her for a while, especially after her husband passed away. In the last 2 years, it has been full-on Celine Dion. Like,
Yeah,
she has
yeah.
owned every moment that we see her in.
She looks
And she
great.
looked absolutely gorgeous.
I
What
really
about
like-
Christian? Christian Siriano created 2
Oh, yeah?
dresses last night,
did
I'm
he
told. Janelle Monáe
Oh,
wore Christian
yes. That was
Siriano.
campy.
Yeah.
And
Very campy.
I love the eyelash.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
See? Yeah, she got that one right. I mean, I feel like so many of them went with the theme. They really went with the theme. Did he
don't see
create
the
another
theme.
one?
I
Wait,
don't
I've
see
got
the
the theme with mine. Okay,
Yeah.
so my choices were RuPaul, obviously,
Oh, of
because he
course.
was incredible. He was actually wearing Zaldi, which is
Wow.
his stylist. And by the way, this is the first time any drag queens have ever gone to the Met Gala.
Love.
Violet Chachki and Aquaria, who are both winners of RuPaul's Drag Race, and I think they all nailed it in
Love,
every way.
love.
And my other choice was Natasha Lyonne, who's wearing Jean Paul Gaultier, and I just thought she looked incredible and nailed it in every way, and I love this theme so much. It's my personal favorite aesthetic across the board, and I just think there were so many good people last
Yeah,
night.
yeah. And I missed one. I missed one, and I can't remember what it was.
Was it Cardi B's?
No, it wasn't Cardi B.
Katie?
Whoa,
Was
that
this
is...
Siriano?
That is everything.
That's the one.
Was that Siriano
Yes,
as well?
that's
Yeah,
Christian
yeah.
Siriano.
That was
And
fabulous.
it's fluid.
Yeah,
You know, it's
That's
gender
fun.
fluid.
gender fluid. That was
really
fabulous.
fantastic.
So the
love
idea is
that.
to have fun with clothing.
Well, it's to have-
Exaggeration.
Yeah.
It's
Can
to, when you think of. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to mention 2 as
Oh,
well.
go ahead.
Ciara and
Yeah.
Lupita. I just thought
Lupita
they
was
were.
so good.
Yeah.
Lupita had this sort of sort of Hunger Games meets Wakanda, and I really enjoyed her with the Afro picks, the gold Afro picks in her hair. And then Ciara wins for best hair, right? I mean, it was just she really embodied that 60s camp. I thought, and
Who was the
I enjoyed
chandelier?
her.
Katy
Oh, that was
Perry.
Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
Did you see that one look at the
Look at that.
chandelier?
I've worn that.
You've worn that? Oh, yes, you did.
Yes, I
That
have.
was the Oscars, right?
You wore that already?
She wore that for the Oscars.
Similar.
And can I also say Billy Porter? I think
Yes.
the men
Yes.
really showed
Billy
up.
is
He had,
Billy Porter is
man.
brilliant.
Look at that entrance.
Oh, man.
That's what I'm talking
good.
about.
Yeah, and Cardi B also looked amazing.
Yeah.
And Cardi B.
Yeah.
It's
She's
love
the
of the
embodiment of
unnatural,
camp.
of artifice and exaggeration.
Yes.
which I
Exaggeration.
love.
Oh,
and it's fun. It
Yeah.
can't be taken too seriously.
Yes.
It's about the fun.
Yeah.
And so, because we are also fun, we're gonna be right back with more Hot Topics.
Later, Madonna at 60. She claims she's being punished for getting older. Do most women get the same treatment, or does the material girl need to grow up?
I promise that you'll never find another like me.
You'll never find more fierce, strong, independent women than right here on The View.
5 women, this is how it's done, sweetheart.
And there's a lot of cool chicks out there.
Only on The View do you get this information.
And this May, just look who's voicing their view. Common, Anne Hathaway, Amy Poehler, Sierra, coming to drop and debut her hot new video. Craig Ferguson, Yara Shahidi. Watch out for Howard Stern, Gail King, Eric Stonestreet, Allison Williams, and Nathan Lane. Plus, as the 2020 race heats up, this table heats up too, with these voices coming to rock our political view.
This is what this show does.
Proud of it.
We're The View on ABC.
Welcome back. So Madonna's on the cover of British Vogue, where she says that people have always been trying to silence her for one reason or another. That she's not pretty enough, she's not talented enough, and now she's turning 60, she's not young enough. It seems to be, something that happens to everyone. You have your time in the sun, and then you move into the shade, and somebody else takes their time in the sun.
Well, it doesn't happen to everybody. I mean, the Rolling Stones are on Lipitor at this point. And they're still dancing, and, all these old guys are still doing the road.
Yeah.
She's got a real complaint.
Not really. She's still producing music. She's going on tour, I'm sure, with the new album.
But she needs to reinvent herself because,
Wow.
because she came up as this sort of like rebellious, iconoclastic, camp figure, which
Yeah.
is hard to do when you're in your 60s.
Or she just needs to see the glass half full. I found this interview to be really unrelatable to women and no humility. I mean, she has been so lucky in her life. And every step of the way, she said, I have no living role models to look up to because nobody does what I do. No one has raised 6 kids as a single mom and have a voice that I do.
Diana Ross.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I actually
there's a lot of people out there.
Diana Ross was actually one of the people I was going to talk about that is like, there's actually a lot of women in their 60s and beyond that are doing, creating amazing music, going on tour. Pat Benatar, Diana Ross, Celine Dion, Cher, Stevie Nicks. So like, thank you, Stevie Nicks. I ride so hard for Stevie Nicks from Sedona. Thank you very much. I love you.
Oh, I didn't know
she
was from Sedona.
She's from Sedona.
Yes.
She's great too.
And still a rock star. It's okay. And it's like, I don't care about age. We're all different ages. Age is just a number. Trust me, you guys hustle harder than anybody I
But
know.
there's a difference. But I know. But there's a difference between Madonna and let's say Diana. Diana was always elegant.
Yeah.
Madonna was wearing a cone bra. She was acting.
She was sort of the original
It's harder
in that.
to transition from her.
Grace Jones. Sorry, Grace Jones.
Yeah, she was.
Oh my God.
You know, I mean,
Grace Jones.
listen,
She did have a different shtick.
I'm sorry.
I think she did have
Grace Jones.
Yeah, she did have a different type
She's so
of
good.
shtick.
Who had a
and
different shtick? Madonna.
Madonna. And I do think that
What about Cher?
their
The
ageism
list
is
goes
real
on.
when it comes to women, and there is a difference between women and men. And I think she didn't put it well.
Yeah.
You know, it landed.
Like, I don't feel sorry for Madonna.
It didn't land well for me either.
I really don't.
But I will say what was strange to me, not strange, but she did say something that landed for me. She said that her kids have become too inundated with imagery and have started to compare themselves to other people, and it's been really hard for their self-growth because she's raising kids in the time of this imagery.
People have always
even
been,
her kids.
People have
are
always
dealing
been
with
raising
that.
kids, and she was part of that.
Yes, they have.
I mean,
Well, she was part of that
she was
imagery
part
that you
of
have to
that
live up
imagery
to.
thing. Listen,
Yeah.
you can still be the rock and roller that you are and the great mover and shaker that you are, but you can't say that no one else has done it because amazing women in rock and roll are still doing it. They're still doing it.
And for real, Google Grace Jones at Fashion Week.
Oh,
and
Grace Jones.
she apparently
Listen,
hula hoops every day, and
Grace
she is
Jones
the.
is,
and
look,
she's
Grace
70.
Jones is the queen.
Yeah.
Okay, she is
man.
the queen.
Yeah.
Well, Aretha's also the queen, but it's a whole thing.
They're
you
both
know?
queens.
But she's 10
The
years
ladder.
older than Madonna.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Do Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski think Joe Biden can win the White House? Do they regret all the airtime they gave to Donald Trump back when they were friends? They're live on The View next. You can still feel the Oprah effect at viewyourdeal.com. We partnered with vendors for at least half off her latest batch of favorite things. So get to viewyourdeal.com now.
So, just like we know that The View is on at the White House right now, we know you're watching Donald. We also know that Trump gets up really early to yell back at the TV while watching our next 2 guests on Morning Joe. Please welcome Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. So you two lovebirds.
Do you want to talk about our history first?
No, because you two have been in bed together.
Yes, we have.
So you should understand.
Yes, we
I had no idea.
No, really.
I always had another
story.
show besides this. I had both shows on HLN. And then, of course, they canceled me, which is the show must go on. And we did a little bit with
bed.
Joe, and I was in bed with Joe.
It was like the end of the Bob Newhart show. And she woke up,
yeah.
and I was her husband. A nightmare, but
The things you learn
now you live a
about
nightmare.
Joe and Joy.
Yeah, but you two now are married. I don't
Yes.
think you were married last time you came here. Were you
No.
engaged?
No, you weren't. You were just
engaged.
about to be married.
So is there any different? People always ask me this. Is there any difference between before you were married and now that you're married?
Oh.
It's fun.
look how
He's
pretty you
lost about 15 pounds.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh.
She makes me exercise way too much.
5 miles a day.
I don't like
He
it.
exercises
I'm not
all the
eating
time.
cheeseburgers as much as I used
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
5 miles
No,
running
but you
or
know
walking?
what, though?
He
Seriously,
walks,
you
I
have
run.
all that time together. We've gotten a lot better at sorting through differences.
That's good.
And so we actually get to the point where we say, you know, why don't we jump ahead to how we're going to be feeling tomorrow, today?
Yeah.
Right.
And it helps.
That's good. I find that I say things in anger sometimes that I have to take back.
Never. We've never done that.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about hot topics. There's a cat.
I have no arguments with my cat.
That's good.
Yeah.
So now we have 400 federal prosecutors
Can you imagine?
who are now saying that the Mueller report is correct, that he should have been indicted, except he's the president and you can't do that to him. And the Mueller report basically corroborates that whole thing, I think. Don't you think?
Yep.
And so now what? He sits there and it just the thing goes on?
You're frustrated.
I certainly am.
Well,
I mean,
it's
what more do we need to impeach this guy?
a good question.
Well,
I
you
mean,
know,
oversight
actually-
is supposed to happen in real time.
We actually need Republicans that will stand up for the rule of law. Your dad did.
Yeah.
Your dad was alone for the most part.
But look what happens to them. Look at what happened to, what's his name, Corker and,
Jeff Flake.
Jeff Flake.
retired.
Gone.
They get pushed out.
The thing is, they go halfway. If you're going to go in, you got to go all in.
Go big or go home.
You win your race at home, though, if you do that. You got to win re-election.
You know, I think you can. No, here's the deal. We don't know what happens when a Republican stands up to defend the rule of law
seen it.
against Trump. We don't know what happens, other than Senator McCain. And I'm not just saying
Only-
that.
he was the
I'm
only
not
one.
saying that
He was the
because
only
you're
one.
here. I'm saying that because when I went to Capitol Hill after Donald Trump was in office, my staff, they always say, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? I said, there's only one person that matters on Capitol Hill, and it's John McCain, because Senator McCain was the only Republican who said, I'm going to stay conservative, I'm going to stay Republican, and I'm going to speak my mind.
And I'm
No
gonna stay
other
for
Republican
America.
has tried it.
That's right.
So we don't know
Do
whether...
you have your money on anybody
He also
who
won
might?
his re-election for whatever it's
Yeah.
worth. It did work in Arizona.
He did.
Yeah,
So
it did work.
I would have liked Jeff Flake to make the same gamble
Yeah.
just to protect
You know,
politics.
it worked in Arizona, too, because he embraced it. He said, this is who I am. And the thing that insults me with these Republicans is none of them will trust their constituents. Like, you know, I was part of the coup, 11 of us, threw Newt Gingrich out of town. And when he was speaker,
far enough.
and everybody thought that it was going to be terrible. I held town hall meetings. I said, listen, this is why I did it.
But do you have your
And they-
eye on any Republican that you think, okay,
Yeah.
this one
No.
will do it, that one
What
will
about
do
Mitt
it, that one will
Romney?
do it?
No, well,
Well,
Mitt
so-
Romney sort of-
Mitt has actually been
Not
a surprise. No, he's been
yeah,
a
not
surprise
terrible.
because, I mean, I love Mitt and I've always loved Mitt.
It's hard to take him seriously when he will beg for a job for him before he comes out. It's
Well,
hard
no,
to know
that
which
was,
Mitt you're
I
getting.
saw that differently. I saw that as him trying to contribute. Everybody,
Yeah.
when Trump was elected, everybody, or I think good people, tried to step up and tried to help out and be in there despite all
And-
of his failings to
Yeah.
at least be a part of trying to keep things on track. I think that was his goal.
And I
He
do-
doesn't need his constituents. His
yeah.
constituents will vote for him.
And that's
anyway.
a great thing.
And he knows
I mean,
that.
who knew? But like
Romney.
Utah Republicans are Republicans who actually care about the rule of law. Who knew? But I will just say about Mitt that a lot of people were calling him and saying, we know you don't like Trump, but you need to go talk to him because if it's not you, it's Rudy.
Exactly.
And so
The opposite.
it was a tough
Nobody in
choice.
my family talked to him. I mean, for whatever it's worth, I think there's some. I just think. I agree with the argument that it looked like pandering. But let's move to 2020. We had Joe Biden on the show the day after he announced that he was running for president. He is obviously sitting on top of the polls right now. This is crazy. One that came out this morning had him at 40%.
Yeah.
How can any Democrat catch up to him, or is it too soon?
I think it's going to be very tough for anybody to catch up with him. I think there are a few bright, shining stars, but it's such a huge field.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really hard to break out for anybody.
I mean, there are a lot of really impressive. Kamala
love
is
her.
really impressive.
Love Kamala.
Yeah.
Mayor Pete, you could go down the
Amazing.
list. There's so many
Elizabeth
impressive.
Warren,
but-
but
Yep,
she's,
she's
that-
got the strongest message.
Yeah, when Elizabeth has, she knows what she believes and she goes out and she says it every day. But yeah, with 22 people in the field,
Yeah.
and
Can
with him
they-
sitting
should
there
they
at
sit
40,
there at 40?
it's going to be hard to catch up.
Joe, can they just skip the primary and put Joe Biden in there? It's not possible.
Not possible.
No,
We need
because
that
when you
different
start
process.
doing stuff like that, that's when the law starts
we went
disappearing.
McConnell would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Let the people decide.
this is still
people
the
decide.
democracy.
Yeah,
You
let the
still
people
have the
decide.
last word.
I will say time and time again,
Damn it.
when you have people that try to fix it and get through the primary process, the best thing that can happen is you go up against 5, 10, 15 people,
Yeah.
and the strongest survives. And we'll find out whether Joe has learned from his first two races where he sort of stepped on his own sort of landmines
Yeah.
that he threw down there. And it'll make him much better when he runs against Trump.
Well, and in terms of running against Trump, you have Trump calling Biden, I think, Sleepy Joe, retweeting over 60 negative Biden tweets. And Joe said he doesn't want to get in a mud wrestling match, but called Trump a clown and a no-good SOB. So we discussed this the other day. What should Biden's strategy be? Should he be taking a higher road, or should he get into the mud with him?
I think he should do...
What do you think, Psycho Joe?
I think Psycho Joe thinks you do what gets Donald Trump out of office. And sometimes that means taking the higher road, and sometimes that means taking it to him. But you can't have
not a
people
formula.
who are afraid to fight.
Yeah.
Again, that's what your dad. Again, I go back to your dad. Like your dad and I, you know, would go. Your dad one time said, after the Oriskany was sunk in Pensacola Bay, the only thing he regretted was, he said that they didn't change Scarborough to the deck when it went down.
You had your differences.
Yeah, we had our differences, but he was a fighter, right? And I mean, whoever runs against Trump has to be a fighter.
But is
Joe is
America
that.
ready for
You know,
something
Joe
different?
is that.
Is America
Joe is a
tired
fighter.
of those nicknames, those insults?
Oh, yeah, no, they should do that.
Do
They
people
should
want to
do
get to a
insults.
higher place?
Yeah.
Are you surprised how much Beto's underperforming?
No.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
No.
don't get it.
I mean, I didn't understand the Vanity Fair cover. I didn't understand Barack Obama sending like his best people to Beto back in December. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, we got.
I don't understand why everybody like
He does
is all-
do that thing with his hands
He
all the
does.
time. I know. Like his long fingers.
Listen, I'm Italian. That's
Is that an Italian
we won't
thing?
do that. Anyway, you guys are sticking around. But we're going to have more with Joe and Mika in a minute. Stay there.
Which is very intense. And we were on a plane together, and I asked her story. Turns out she's a dreamer. She grew up with her four siblings in Lima, Ohio, and figured out how to get to New York by applying for thousands of jobs and lying on the resume, saying she lived in New York City because she knew if she wrote Lima, Ohio, they might not call her in. And so she got called in for a job at P. Diddy Entertainment. They said, "Can you be here tomorrow?" And she got on buses through the night, cleaned up at Port Authority, went to the interview, nailed it.
Well, you really wanted to get out of Lima.
And I mean, then she worked 4 other jobs and did all this, you know, and then restarted again at Morning Joe, and then worked like heck for 2 more years. And I thought, this is the path. This is the scrappy, like, don't give up path. And so we decided to take this project on together. I was inspired by her.
I like
Danielle, we just heard that story. If you go back to those early days when you first met Mika, what advice do you have for women at that point in their life right
Yeah,
now?
I mean, it's a tough time in anybody's when they're starting out. And what I found is that no matter how many no's you get or closed doors, if you work hard and you continue to put yourself out there, in some shape or form, a yes will always follow.
And it has.
In a big way. Yeah.
You know, I want to answer. Now we did your book, which I'm thrilled for you. It
Thank
sounds
you.
like a really good
You know,
book.
you don't really
Everybody
sound
should
thrilled.
earn it.
It sounds like you're ready to get back to politics.
No.
okay.
I like the title because it's my
Don't you
story
think
too.
it's a
I worked
good
hard.
message, though, for young- 'cause
and you
it's-
have to keep pushing, and you have to be desperate in a certain way for something, money or something. Anyway, what I want to talk to you about is this Russian thing. Okay.
Here we go.
So
Here we go.
Hey,
So the other
thank
day.
you so much. We're going to talk about Putin now. Go ahead.
But I'm talking about Trump talking to Putin for 90 minutes on the
Yes.
phone. He
Yes.
said he smiled. Was he
Right.
FaceTiming him? It's on the phone. How does he know he smiled?
So what you ask?
It's
You
all
know
for us.
Donald
So
Trump.
here's my question.
You know him.
He goes on television and then says he discussed nothing about Russian interference with him. And they let him get away with that.
Who is
What-
they?
Who's they?
The Republican Party.
Right.
Okay?
There you go.
We have to call these people out every day.
Right.
They have got to step up. I know Megan doesn't like when I say the Republican Party, and I don't mean you, and I don't mean
No,
you.
no, no,
I'm
wait.
talking about
He
the
left the party.
leadership.
Well, actually, the party left him.
But
okay.
by the way,
Leadership.
this is really important for you to just say, though, the differential. You can talk about elected Republican officials in Washington, D.C.
That's who I mean.
Right? So let's
Right.
focus on them.
Okay.
And over the past week, they've allowed Barr to lie under oath,
Right.
commit perjury,
Right.
Yeah.
which is, by the way, why we
think it's criminal.
voted to impeach Bill
Yeah.
Clinton, because he committed perjury in the grand jury. Well,
Yeah.
so we have that. we have them ignoring a statute at Treasury to turn over the taxes, which, by the way, this isn't a constitutional crisis.
No.
This is a violation
Of the law.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
So I'm not crazy.
No.
This is
You're not
against
crazy.
the law.
This is against the law.
Steve Mnuchin, they're coming for you.
Yeah.
Well,
They
Steve
can come
Mnuchin,
for you.
He said that he's not releasing the tax returns on
Well,
it.
honey, he's
Does that
going to
bother
jail
you?
or getting released from his job.
But
That's
Trump's
the law.
numbers just
It is
went
the
up.
law.
Trump's numbers just went up.
Well,
They went up a few
in
points.
in one poll. I mean, last week's polls, he was in the 30s. Who really knows where his numbers are going to be jumping around? But here's the reality, and I say this as somebody who's a lifelong Republican who is still a conservative, far more conservative than my former colleagues on spending, on small government, on all the things that we used to believe in as a party. Unfortunately, in 2019, the Democratic Party is the only party in America left to defend the rule of law in Washington, D.C. And that's strange for me, all these people that I've politically been fighting against my entire life.
You actually just said the Democratic Party is the
All right.
only party
Well,
left.
because what you all asked a question.
Tell us. It's all
Who
about
were the
America.
Republicans?
It's all about America.
It's all about
who's going
America.
to take care of America.
And you
that's
know
what
what?
your dad knew.
I am the American
That's
dream.
right.
That's what
Yes.
we're going to leave it right there. But we are so happy for both of you. Congratulations
Thank
on getting
you.
married in the book. Our thanks to Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. Members of our audience, you are going home with a copy of the book, Earn It. And we'll be right back.
Hey, what's up? It's Common, and I hope you check out my new book, Let Love Have the Last Word. But if I know this show, the ladies are gonna have the last word, right? I'm up next. Peace.
Oscar and Grammy-winning superstar musician and actor and activist Common is spreading the love and getting personal in his new memoir, Let Love Have the Last Word. Please welcome back the fabulous and amazing Common.
Great to see you.
Hey,
How are
Dr.
you?
Common, how you doing, Dr.
Yes.
I'm a doctor now. It's amazing. I can't believe it.
Commencement speech at your alma mater, Florida A&M, and
You look thrilled.
you didn't know you were getting a doctorate.
No, I didn't know I was getting it. It was such a full circle experience because I went to FAMU, a historical black college, and had one of the best experiences of life. But I left there to go to pursue my career. So it was kind of work undone. But then for my career to take me back there to be able to speak at the commencement ceremony and to get an honorary doctorate, I wore that robe for all through the airport. They let me keep it. I wore that. I ain't take it off till I was going to sleep. I'm serious. That's how.
Good.
It's one of the monumental moments in my life.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, you have another monumental moment. You have a new book called Let Love Have the Last Word.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to make the subject about love. Why did you choose that?
Well, I chose love because a lot of the topics that we talk about, like when it comes to politics and the divisiveness and you know, the corruption that's going on and different things, I feel like those conversations weigh down on us. And love, for me, has been one of the biggest solutions to when I am heavy, like just finding, and I'm not just talking a floaty love, I'm talking about like practicing love as a human being, like finding out ways to love myself. And in turn, like that allows me to love other people and love people that are different from me. If we don't believe the same thing, I still don't have to spew out hate to be against that person. And I think it's a thing we got to practice in these times to overcome these times. That's how we rise above it, is through practicing love. So that's why I wanted to talk about it and like talk about therapy, talk about things that black men don't talk about sometimes. Like, it's a stigma for us to say I'm going to a therapist, you know? Like, if I told my friends that, they look at me and be like, yo, why you going to a therapist? What's the matter? You look like everything is good with you. Why you going to a therapist? But we all need that mental health support. People experience so much trauma. Even when things are good, you still have things that you've experienced in life that you may not know you're carrying with you. I really got to, through therapy, learn a lot about how I react in relationships. So, and I really like know from going to communities how much trauma that young people go through and some of the depression and anxiety And I'm like, man, just get some help, just get some support. We all need it. So
My friend always says, I have a friend always says, it's an inside job.
yes, it is.
Yes.
That's like it was good for me. I saw Jay-Z talking in a conversation about how he said how the hardest work he had to do. He said, you know, I've hustled, I've did different things. I've even been shot at, but he said the hardest work I had to do was to work on myself. And that's what I've been feeling, like the work on my, but I feel like the work on myself is helping me to go out and be a better human being to others.
Good for
you
you.
know?
I would say, I read your book. It's so beautiful.
Thank
Your
you.
book is so beautiful and beautifully written. And for me, it seemed like a love letter to your daughter, Moye.
Yes, Amoy.
She's here in the audience.
Amoy, hey.
And what was striking to me is that you write about your relationship with her, and you write that she called you recently, and she said that she wished you had been there more for her when she was a child.
Yes.
And how did that make you feel, and how did it change you?
It changed me in many ways. It definitely, at the moment of the discussion, I felt hurt. I felt angry in a way, you know. I felt these different emotions. I felt disappointed in myself, and I was really trying to explain myself and be like, well, I thought I was there, you know, and trying to give these reasons or excuses and just trying to give my side of the story. But what it changed, the way it changed me, and it's prominent in the book, is like it made me first look and say, hey, I need to just listen to her. This is her perspective. This is what she experienced. No matter what I think I did and didn't do, this is how she feels. And it really showed me how to love in a different way, because love is that being able to take in what somebody else, even if you don't agree or you think you're right about this. And I couldn't fix it at that moment either. I just had to listen. And I think I look at that our relationship as it grows, and I think that communication has been helpful. But I also apply that to individuals now, or to society. Like, I need to listen to people. Like, when I've been going to visit prisons and talk to people in prison, I listen to them. I'm not like they're just like, yo, this is what we gonna do, because I don't know everything that they may be experiencing and where they may be hurting. And I feel the same way in society. Like, our leaders should be listening to the communities and to the people that they are serving. But
They're not. You know, you also write about, in the book, about your love life and how Michelle Obama is your mentor on that topic. Tell us about that.
But yeah, she gave me a little love advice. She really, I actually had the experience when Michelle Obama and President Obama were in the White House. I had the experience of sitting down, talking with them, and you know, she was asking me, she's like, Carmen, you're not married? Why you not married? And then we got into the discussion, and she was like, no, you're not approaching it the right way, because at that time, I think I was looking for this perfect person, and I'm not the perfect person. And she just started breaking down, like, you know, what are the important things to you? Make sure the person has those things, because you're not going to get everything in that. And I was thinking, well, President Obama got everything in you, don't he? But yeah, so to speak, right? But you know, to hear that coming from her was really important. It was insightful, because you just think, like, they're perfect people.
There are a lot of
What are
ladies
you
that'll be
looking
watching.
for?
So
Yeah, what are you looking for? What are the
Every
things
time
you're
you're
looking
on, the
for?
audience goes crazy.
I love.
Do you love nurses?
I love the nurses. The nurses. I love that they took care of you too.
Yes, they did.
You know, my mother just had a surgery, and as I was, you know, going through the hospital and being there, the people working in the hospital, I was like, I gained a whole new respect.
Work.
Thank you. They really doing God's work. Those are some of the people that, like, we don't talk about.
They are.
But to get back to what y'all said, I wanted a lady. I mean, I love a woman who is caring, like, open-hearted, like, cares about people, has a spirituality to her that, you know, believes in a higher power. She has to be able to have fun. Like, we got to be able to. People think I'm just all talking serious all the time. I like to joke. I like to have fun. I like to go out to dinner and have wine. And I think, you know, I like.
Ladies.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right, ladies. Dr. Carmen has spoken.
You know, you have to come more often. You have to come here more often. And we thank you.
Thank you. I love being here.
Good. We love it when you're here. So his new book, Let Love Have the Last Word, is out today. And you know what, y'all? You have been so good today that we're going to give you a copy, everybody. Also, He's going to be doing book signings today at Barnes & Noble, 5th Avenue from 1 to 2:30. And
Live. Met Gala Glam. The A-list brought the camp and vamp to fashion's biggest annual Battle of the Ball Gowns. And the co-host picked the looks they couldn't take their eyes off of. Plus, Hot Topics are getting a jolt of Morning Joe when Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski hit the table. Plus, Grammy and Oscar winner Common reveals how Michelle Obama became his relationship guru and what she said he's doing wrong in his love life. Let's fire up Hot Topics with Whoopi, Abby Huntsman, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
Let's start with this. It is National Nurses Appreciation Week, and I am honored to welcome the nurses who truly did save my life when I was sick. Will you guys please stand up, please? Yeah. You know, they took care of me. They didn't let me scare myself.
Yeah.
They really kept me laughing. I kept them laughing. We kept them fed because you guys kept bringing stuff from The View, and so we would do
were
stuff
so
with the
nice.
nurses. They were
I have
really
a feeling
great.
you made them laugh a few times too, Whoopi.
It took a little while, though. It took a little while for me to, you know, because, again, pneumonia, you don't want to fool with it.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's light and airy. It is not. It is something that will kill you.
And because
if
you're
not
such a big
careful.
star, you had to have double pneumonia.
Well, and don't forget the sepsis. You know, yeah, I never do anything small. I'm kind of like, you know, it's crazy. But thank you guys, and welcome
Thank
to the
you for helping her.
So one of the biggest nights of fashion in New York hit New York yesterday at the Met Gala. This year's theme was based on Susan Sontag's essay, Notes on Camp. She defined